It was meant to act on fear, but instead it awakened faith. It was meant to be vicious and violent, but instead it came to our peace. It was meant to uproot hope, but instead it came the seed. It was meant to punish captives, but instead it unleashed freedom.
It was meant to put down Jesus, but instead it set up his resurrection. It was meant to jeer and mock him, but instead it was his glory. It was meant to erase a chapter, but instead it became history.
It was meant to hold up convents, but instead it raised up a king. It was meant to shut our mouths, but instead is why we sing. It was meant to be a judgment, but instead became our mercy. It is why the song of heaven is the Lamb. Worthy is the Lamb. It was meant to kill an enemy, crush the censors and diversion, but instead it became a banner before God's love for every person.
It was meant to horrify the world.
It was meant for humiliation.
It was meant to last for days.
It was meant for slow asphyxiation.
It was meant to prolong torture.
It was the Roman soldier's job.
It was meant to be used by Caesar, but instead it was used by God.
It was used to stop a movement, but instead it became the way.
Come to the cross. Instead of sin and stain, you're meant to be made clean. Instead of being forgotten, you're meant to know you're seen. Instead of being ashamed, you can leave behind your guilt. Instead of feeling empty, you're meant to be fulfilled.
Instead of being broken, you are meant to be made whole. Here Calvary is calling. It beckons you. Behold, come to the cross. Instead of being an accident, you have a purpose and a plan. Instead of being abandoned, you're chosen by his hand.
For all who've said, I can't, God has said, I can. No matter what you've done, the invitation stands. Come to the cross. Instead of being doubtful, you are meant to know your Father. You are meant to be his son. You are meant to be his daughter. You were cherished from the start. You were always in the picture. Instead of being a victim, you're meant to be a victor. The result of Jesus' blood, salvation, has arrived.
Instead of being dead, you were meant to be alive. Come to the cross. It was meant to signal death, but instead it's a sign of living. It was meant to be the end, but instead it's our beginning.
Come to the cross.
Come to the cross. Come to the cross.
Come to the cross. Come to the cross. Come to the cross.
Come to the cross.
My brother, my sister, I can tell you with all the love that I have in me, come to the cross. Come to the cross for our Savior died.
Come to the cross.